You know that feeling when you're just totally stuck in a loop? Like you've had a really demanding, exhausting day. You finally sit down on the couch and you just find yourself endlessly doom scrolling on your smartphone.
Oh, yeah. We have definitely all been there.
Right. Or maybe you're tapping away at a mobile game. You keep telling yourself, just one more level, but your thumb literally won't stop hitting that next button.
Yeah, you know you should put the screen down, but your brain is just completely hooked.
Exactly.
And
It's such a universal struggle.
it really is. But that doom scrolling loop isn't, it's not a lack of discipline on your part. It is actually a precisely engineered mathematical trap. Welcome to the Psychology of Gambling, the podcast from Mind Over Odds, where we believe if you control your emotions, you control your outcomes.
So looking at the behavioral psychology research we pulled for today's deep dive, there's this one overarching question that keeps popping up, and it connects directly to that everyday lack of impulse control we were just talking about.
Right.
We really want to understand, why are modern slot machines so much harder to walk away from than, say, buying a weekly lottery ticket?
It's such a critical question to unpack, and our goal for you today is pretty straightforward. By understanding the structural traps built into these games, you can start to recognize when your own neurochemistry is being hijacked.
Yeah, like seeing the man behind the curtain.
Exactly. Because once you understand the mechanics of the trap, you can build the daily habits you need to step back and, well, regain your emotional control.
So let's just start with the most basic difference between a lottery ticket and a slot machine. Looking at all the data here, it seems to just all come down to time.
Time is the foundation of it all, really. In behavioral psychology, the single biggest predictor of whether any game will become addictive is its event frequency.
Event frequency. Okay, what exactly does that mean?
Basically, it's just the delay between placing a bet, seeing the result, and being able to act again.
Got it. So like a traditional lottery ticket is practically agonizing in its slowness.
Oh, completely.
You buy a ticket on a Tuesday, you stick it to your refrigerator, and, the drawing isn't until Friday night.
Right. That's what experts call a discontinuous activity. The reward is delayed by days. And strictly from a biological standpoint, your brain actually struggles to form a true chemical addiction to a reward that only happens a couple times a week.
Wait, really? Even if someone is, spending way too much money on tickets?
Yeah. Even then, because the human nervous system requires constant, rapid, uninterrupted feedback to build a genuine biological dependency.
Okay, wow. And a slot machine operates on the exact opposite end of that spectrum. Yeah.
Entirely. Modern machines are continuous. A standard game allows for like 10 to 12 plays every single minute.
That's incredibly fast.
It is. It's a complete cycle of risk, anticipation, and result every 5 or 6 seconds. If you sit there for an hour, you are making upwards of 600 micro-decisions.
600. That is wild.
Yeah, and that sheer speed is the vehicle that accelerates a casual player straight into compulsive behavior.
So wait, I was thinking about this speed thing. Is it the flashing lights and the themes, or is just the velocity? Like, theoretically, could you make a safe slot machine just by slowing it down?
You absolutely could. If you engineered a standard slot machine where the lever physically locked for an entire week after you pulled it, it would actually be a remarkably safe game.
Because the biological hook just wouldn't have time to form.
Exactly. And on the flip side, you can take the relatively slow mechanics of a lottery and make them highly addictive.
Oh, right, like Keno.
Yes,
Yeah.
Keno. If you draw those lottery numbers every 10 seconds on a glowing monitor in a bar, it suddenly becomes a continuous high-risk game.
Okay, so it's essentially the difference between, like, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks versus finding a dollar bill on the sidewalk every 3 steps.
That is a perfect analogy.
Because with the paycheck, you manage your expectations. But if there's a dollar every 3 steps, you would never look up. It would be impossible to walk normally.
Right, you'd just be locked in. Those immediate feedback loops completely short-circuit our ability to plan long-term.
That makes total sense. So if the speed of the game is the vehicle, what is the fuel?
Well, for that, we need to look at how the human brain processes rapid-fire, unpredictable rewards.
This is the evolutionary biology part, right?
Yeah.
Because our brains aren't just reacting to winning money.
No, they're not. They are reacting to the uncertainty itself. There's this mechanism called the dopamine prediction error.
Okay, dopamine. People usually think of that as the pleasure chemical, don't they?
They do, but it's really the motivation chemical. Your brain constantly tracks the difference between what you expect to happen and what actually happens.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and if a reward is 100% predictable, your dopamine response drops off. The brain gets bored. But when a reward is highly uncertain, those dopamine-producing neurons fire at their absolute maximum intensity.
But why are we wired like that? It kind of seems counterintuitive to reward uncertainty.
Well, think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. When early humans were foraging, a bush that always had berries was safe, right?
Sure, predictable food.
But a rustling bush that might have food, or it might have a predator that required intense, hyper-focused attention. Our brains evolved to flood us with dopamine in the face of uncertainty so we'd stay motivated to figure out the puzzle.
Okay. So bringing that back to everyday life or a casino floor, the spinning wheels on a machine are basically the rustling bush.
Precisely. And brain scans actually show this. The massive dopamine surge doesn't happen when the coins drop. The peak neurological rush happens during the anticipation phase while the wheels are spinning.
Let's unpack this a bit. It's like ordering a package you know is coming versus getting a total surprise gift in the mail.
Yes.
The surprise just feels way better because you weren't expecting it.
Exactly. But wait, there's a catch with gambling. Because in that specific moment of anticipation, the feeling of not knowing becomes its own neurochemical reward.
Even if you're losing, I mean, wouldn't the stress of your wallet emptying out override that high?
You would think so, but no. The anticipation actually overwrites the reality of the loss. A person can experience a profound neurological high while actively losing money because as long as those reels are moving, the brain is getting that surge of maybe this time.
Wow, so the uncertainty itself is the drug.
It is, which is why noticing that feeling in daily life is so crucial for your emotional control.
Like paying attention to that physical feeling.
Yeah, that flutter in your chest. Whether you're waiting for a text back, waiting for a feed to refresh, or watching a reel spin, when you feel that rush of uncertainty, use it as a cue to pause.
Just to recognize that your brain is being hijacked by the unknown.
Exactly. That moment of awareness is your first line of defense. But, you know, before we dive into how modern games artificially manufacture that uncertainty to trap you, I want to make sure I mention this.
Oh, please do.
If you or someone you know struggles with compulsive or problem gambling, free help is available 24 hours a day by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
That is such an important resource to have. Because when you actually look at the design of these machines, it's just not a fair fight.
It really isn't.
Take the near-miss effect. So in a normal, skill-based activity like shooting a basketball, a near miss tells your brain you are getting closer, like the ball circles the rim and falls out.
Right. It encourages you to adjust your stance and try again. It's a healthy learning mechanism.
But applying that to a random number generator is just brutal. You get like 2 cherries on a screen, and the third cherry stops just a fraction of an inch above the line.
Mathematically, a near miss on a slot machine is identical to a total miss. You lost your money.
Right.
But because our brains are wired to learn from physical things, like the basketball rim, the brain reads that visual near miss as a partial victory. Brain scans actually show that a near miss triggers the reward center at 75 to 90% of the intensity of an actual win.
Wait, 90%?
Yes.
So your rational mind knows you just lost your bet, but your neurochemistry is throwing a massive victory party.
Exactly. And the algorithms are programmed to artificially cluster those near misses far more often than natural probability would allow.
So the machine is literally lying to your nervous system.
It's telling you that your skill is improving and a win is right around the corner. It's a cognitive distortion.
Like a mental trap.
Yes, exactly.
It's basically like almost making a yellow light and thinking you're this amazing driver, even though it was just pure luck.
That is a great way to put it, and that ties directly into another trap they use, which is called losses disguised as wins, or LDWs.
Oh, right. This is when you bet, say, $10 across multiple different lines on a digital screen.
Yeah.
The machine spins, and you win on just one of those lines. So it pays out $2.
And how does the machine react to that $2 payout?
It goes completely crazy. The screen flashes, the music kicks in, the bells ring.
Right, it's a massive sensory celebration.
Even though you just had a net loss of $8.
But the sensory reinforcement overrides your rational accounting. You feel like you are continually winning, which keeps you anchored to the seat even as your money steadily bleeds out.
That is so wild. What about the physical buttons, though? A lot of machines have a button where you can physically stop the wheels from spinning. Doesn't that give you some control?
That is actually a pseudo skill feature. It gives you the illusion of physical control, but in reality, the outcome is mathematically decided the exact millisecond you hit play.
So hitting the stop button a second later does absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. But the physical action makes you feel like you're mastering a skill. People develop these elaborate tapping rituals, convinced they're finding a pattern.
But they're just fighting random math, and the math always wins.
Always.
Okay, so if the near misses and all these sensory celebrations are constantly flooding the brain with dopamine, what happens over the long term? Like, this can't just be about losing money, right?
No, there is a very real physical toll. When experts look at the brain scans of people with severe gambling disorders, they look almost identical to the scans of people addicted to cocaine.
Wow. So the brain doesn't even distinguish between a drug and a fast-paced game.
It all processes through the exact same reward pathways. And over time, the brain's reward system gets blunted. It builds up a massive tolerance to those artificial dopamine spikes.
So normal things like a good meal or a walk outside just don't register anymore.
Exactly. And on top of that, the prefrontal cortex, which is the area right behind your forehead, actually weakens.
And what does that part of the brain do?
That's your executive braking system.
Right.
It controls your impulses and your risk assessment. Under the strain of continuous gambling, that braking system physically degrades.
That is heavy. So how much of this is even a choice at that point? Like, are players looking for a high, or are they just trying to numb out an exhausted brain?
That is the perfect question, and it brings us to the real human element here. Nobody sits down at a machine with the goal of eroding their prefrontal cortex.
Right.
It's often driven by what experts call relief or escape gambling. Emotionally vulnerable people use these fast-paced games to enter a trance-like state.
Oh, to escape a bad day. I mean,
Yeah.
you've had a brutal week, or you're carrying around some heavy stress, and the mental noise is just too loud.
Exactly. The sheer speed of the game demands so much bandwidth that there is no room left in your brain for anxiety or grief. You just exist in the hum of the machine.
Which is incredibly relatable. I mean, we all have ways we zone out.
Of course.
But using a high-speed game for that escape seems dangerous. So what does this all mean for the listener who just wants to, you know, blow off some steam without getting trapped?
The best defense is a really small daily habit. Check your emotional temperature before you play any game.
Okay, like asking yourself why you're playing.
Yes, if the honest answer is, I'm stressed out and I need to zone out, that is a hard stop. Your braking system is already compromised.
You're too vulnerable.
Exactly. But if you're in a good headspace, set a hard limit on your time and money before your first spin. And when you hit that limit, you have to physically step away.
Leave the room, close the app.
Right. Let your brain's logic center come back online. And I'll just leave you with a final thought to mull over. If variable rewards and event frequencies can make a slot machine so magnetic, look at the device in your hand.
It's smartphone.
Yes. How many of the apps we scroll through every single day are built on the exact same psychology of unpredictable, continuous rewards?
Oh, wow. That is, yeah, the casino's basically in our pockets now. Well, if you found this conversation helpful today, please follow and like the show or leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people in our community find these resources. You can also visit the Mind Over Odds YouTube channel for more psychology-based insights on gambling behavior. We'll talk to you next time. Control your emotions. Control your outcomes.